It was a late Saturday afternoon in the heart of the city when the world seemed to turn against her. The golden light of the sun streamed through the wide windows of the rooftop restaurant, yet her heart felt colder with every dismissive laugh from the man across the table. Cassandra Vale, elegant in her simple cream blouse and long black skirt, had thought agreeing to this dinner would be a chance to connect with someone who wasn't chasing her wealth or status. But as she sat there, listening to Marcus drone on about his investments, cars, and the vacations he planned to take once he married into the right family, Cassandra realized he wasn't looking at her. He was looking at her fortune. She swallowed the lump in her throat, forcing a polite smile, but inside she was breaking. For all her billions and boardrooms, she was still a woman who wanted to be seen, cherished and loved for who she was, not the empire she had inherited. As Marcus leaned closer, making a crude remark that turned her stomach, she gripped her purse and quietly excused herself. No one in the room noticed the billionaire slipping away, no one but one man, a stranger with tired eyes, sitting with a little girl at the corner table, who instinctively rose when he saw her distress. If you believe kindness and second chances can change lives, take a moment now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Your support helps stories like this one reach more hearts. Cassandra barely made it to the elevator before Marcus followed, his voice sharp with irritation at being abandoned. The man from the corner table stepped forward just as Marcus reached for her wrist. She said she's leaving. The stranger's voice was calm, firm, and unshakable. His hand rested gently on her shoulder, not possessive, but protective, like a shield between her and the arrogant man. Marcus scoffed, muttered something under his breath, and stormed off, leaving Cassandra trembling but free. She looked up at the stranger then, really seeing him for the first time. His shirt was worn, his shoes scuffed, but his dark eyes were steady and kind. At his side, a little girl clutched his hand, watching with curiosity and quiet trust. The stranger introduced himself as Adrian Cole, and the little girl, no older than 8, was his daughter, Leora. Cassandra's lips curved into the first genuine smile she had worn all evening. Adrian didn't ask why she looked shaken or who she was. He simply walked her out of the building, ensuring she reached her car safely, his daughter humming softly beside them. Cassandra, overwhelmed with gratitude, thanked him and slipped into her car, thinking she would never see them again. But life had other plans. 2 days later, Cassandra was walking in a quiet city park when she spotted a familiar figure sitting on a bench with a notebook in his lap and Leora playing nearby. Adrian looked deep in thought, the weight of the world etched in the furrows on his forehead. Something pulled her toward them, and before she knew it, Cassandra was greeting the little girl, who offered her a daisy with a gap-toothed grin. Adrian looked surprised but welcomed her warmth. They spoke about small things at first, the weather, the beauty of the park, but slowly pieces of his life slipped through. Adrian was a single dad. His wife had passed away years ago after a long illness, leaving him with debts he was still struggling to pay. He worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table and a roof over Leora's head, but what struck Cassandra most was his unwavering love for his daughter. Every sacrifice he spoke of carried no bitterness, only devotion. His eyes, though weary, lit up when he spoke of Leora's dreams to learn piano or her fascination with stars. Cassandra found herself captivated, not just by his resilience but by the simplicity of his heart, something she had never encountered in her world of luxury and pretense. Days turned into weeks, and their paths continued to cross. Sometimes in the park, sometimes at the little cafe Adrian frequented after his night shifts. Cassandra began to crave these encounters, cherishing how Adrian never treated her like someone extraordinary. He didn't know she was a billionaire. She never revealed it, and in that anonymity, she finally felt free. She laughed more than she had in years, discovered joy in listening instead of leading, and felt the unfamiliar flutter of longing each time she saw him tie his daughter's shoelaces or carry her on his shoulders. But love, like truth, has a way of demanding to be revealed. Cassandra's secret hung between them like a fragile thread. She wanted to tell him who she was, but fear clawed at her. What if the moment he discovered her wealth, his kindness changed? What if he pulled away, believing their worlds could never meet? The turning point came one late afternoon. Cassandra had invited Adrian and Leora to a small book fair downtown, and they had spent hours laughing together, watching Leora's eyes widen with wonder as she leafed through fairy tales. When a sudden drizzle began, Adrian covered Cassandra's head with his jacket, shielding her without hesitation. In that simple gesture, warmth bloomed in her chest, and she realized she couldn't keep her secret much longer. She owed him honesty. That night, Adrian walked Cassandra to her car again, just as he had on the night they first met. His daughter skipped ahead, humming, while the streetlights flickered softly. Cassandra's voice trembled as she whispered, "Adrian, there's something I haven't told you." She tried to explain, stumbling over words, but before she could finish, he gently touched her arm and said, "Cassandra, you don't owe me anything. I don't care where you come from. I just know you're someone who makes my little girl smile again. That's more valuable to me than anything else." Her eyes blurred with tears. He didn't know the truth yet, but somehow in his words she found the acceptance she had always longed for. The revelation came days later, not by Cassandra's choice but by circumstance. A business magazine ran a cover story featuring her, praising her leadership of Vale Enterprises. Adrian, picking up the magazine at the cafe, froze when he saw her face. Shock rippled through him. The woman who had been sharing ice cream with his daughter, who laughed at his corny jokes, who wore simple dresses and sat cross-legged on park benches, she wasn't just Cassandra. She was Cassandra Vale, one of the wealthiest women in the country. He felt a storm of emotions, betrayal, disbelief, and above all, fear. How could someone like her truly belong in his life? When Cassandra found him that evening, his silence was heavy. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked quietly, and she could only whisper, "Because for once, I wanted to be loved as just me." For days, Adrian wrestled with his heart. He knew she had been genuine, that her laughter with Leora was real, that the kindness in her eyes wasn't staged. But the chasm between their lives loomed large. He was a single dad with overdue bills. She was a billionaire whose name carried weight. Yet, as he watched Leora sleep one night, clutching the daisy Cassandra had once given her, he realized something undeniable. Love wasn't about balance sheets or last names. It was about who showed up when you needed them, who made the world feel less heavy, and Cassandra had shown up for them again and again. So one evening Adrian went to her. Cassandra was standing on her balcony overlooking the city lights, fear written across her face as she wondered if he would walk away. Instead, he placed a daisy in her hand, the same kind his daughter had once given her, and whispered, "I don't care about your billions, I care about you. And if you'll let me, I'll walk beside you, just like I did that first night, not because of who you are to the world, but because of who you are to us." Cassandra's tears fell freely, not of sorrow but of relief and joy. For the first time in years, she felt truly seen, not as a billionaire, but as a woman, a friend, and now as someone deeply loved. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Your engagement helps spread stories of love, resilience, and kindness to those who need them most. And before we end, here's a special request: comment below with the words, "Kindness wins." If you believe true love is about hearts, not bank accounts,